Shalom. Welcome to the Jewish View. My name is Rabbi Nachman Simon with the Chabad House of Delmar, together with my co-host Marc Gronich, a statewide news service. And where are we now, Marc?
Well, now we're in Coxsackie Correctional Facility.
All right.
In Greene County.
What did you do now, Marc?
Well, I almost did something. I'm hoping I won't be here for long. It'll be the shortest tenure. But, you know, I really wanted to show that the Department of Correctional Services really goes out of their way to really help Jewish inmates. You know, bad things happen to good people sometimes, but, you know, for the continuity of keeping the religion, you know, in the people's hearts. And here on Sukkahs, they build a Sukkah for the Jewish inmates, and we have 4 Jewish inmates with us today. So, and this is, Rabbi Simon, this is a prison that you visit regularly to talk to the inmates and maybe do some counseling, whatever you might do. But I also know that you give them the Jewish press.
That's
so
important.
That's a good thing.
Well, we have time to do extra reading over here, so might as well something positive Jewishly. But we always try to give them a little bit Jewish, little bit of semblance once a month of Judaism and Hasidism, and Jewish press is part of that. But David, why don't we are in a sukkah, as you could see, and that is, again, incredible that this is a maximum security prison, and still they allow us to, the Jewish inmates, to keep their Judaism as best as they can.
Right, so we have David Carpenter, and who is from Sullivan County. And what town in Sullivan County?
Rock Hill.
Rock Hill. Oh, there's a Chabad in Rock Hill now.
All right.
So I wanted to introduce David. And David, what does this sukkah mean to you in terms of keeping your Jewish character in place?
It's a very vital aspect of keeping my Jewishness here, because as you see, we worked hard to get it up here. We jumped through loops to get it here, but they were very good in helping us to have this on a yearly basis. They work very hard with us, and they always make sure that we're taken care of.
Okay, and we have Andrew Bono, who's here.
How's it going?
Andrew, you're originally from Arizona, but you were in Utica before you made a pit stop here.
Small hiatus.
Extended one.
Yeah.
So how long are you in for here?
I'm currently finishing up a 6-year sentence.
6 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, hope you never come back again once you leave.
You are not the only one. I hope I don't ever.
Okay. So tell me about your Jewish background and what this sukkah means to you.
Well, to be honest with you, once I came to prison, I never really had a religion. I had my foster parents were Jewish. They were Italian, which I don't know how that works, but
what, Italian Jews?
Yeah, they're Italian Jews. Yes.
Okay.
I'm not familiar with their background exactly. I was only with them for 7 years, but once I came to prison, I decided to really look into it and explore the closest thing, Judaism, and explore the closest thing that I've ever had to religion in my life. And so far, I've been looking to Dave for his advice and as much teaching as possible, as well as the rabbi as he comes every Thursday. Well, is it every third Thursday?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's so far I'm not anywhere close to where Dave is, but I'm getting there. And this is shocking to me, because it's, on one hand, they make such a big deal about security in a prison, and on the other hand, to make sure that inmates' religious rights are kept sacred, they allow us to have this.
Well, you know, it's interesting that there's only 3 walls, that there's no door, that there's no 4th wall. Rabbi, can you tell us about what that significance
They were hoping
is?
the prison was like that, 3 walls and no door.
That'd be nice.
I mean, that would be a nice idea for the prison, for them, I guess. But really, ultimately, what is a little bit of a lean-to, that's enough. They have 2 walls plus a little bit. Here we have 3 complete walls. But the whole point of Sukkot is that it should be a temporary structure, meaning that even though regular people have a nice home, and if it rains, who cares? You're protected, you lock your door, and I'm protected. But once a year for a week, we sit in this little hut, and again, if it rains in, it's going to rain in. It's not going to protect us. And the door is open because anybody could come.
But it's also for security reasons. The prison officials told you that there couldn't be a fourth door or fourth wall?
Yeah, sometimes people, this is a kosher sukkah with 3 walls. That's what I wanted to say. But you're right, we are in prison and they don't like people locked behind doors not knowing what you guys are doing here. And again, just like he says, that they are security conscious, and even though they're very facilitating and helping us build a sukkah and having a lulav and esrog and having kosher food provided for the inmates, on the other hand, it is secure and they just have to be sure everybody is safe and sound. So they just want to be able to look inside to be sure everything is kosher, as we say in the business.
Okay.
But the idea is that wherever we are, and I think these prisoners know more than anybody, the inmates know that who knows what the world could bring. And that's what Hashem says. You know, we're worried about the food. You say, well, what do I worry about? I'll just go to the supermarket tomorrow morning. But this is the time of harvest, and that's we're going to show about the 4 different types of vegetation. And that teaches us that, you know, the farmer doesn't get paid once a week, like a paycheck with people, or once every 2 weeks that people have it. It's once a year. And if there's a drought in the harvest time, you get nothing. So that's the way people live. But nowadays, like again, the supermarket's open. I got a strong house. Who needs God for protection? To remind us, whatever happens, you need God for protection. And God, again, Hashem, is providing for all our needs. So that's one of the few lessons that we can get by sitting in this sukkah, even though it's solid, as you guys say, but it is rickety and obviously is not as solid as a normal house.
And we have also here with us John Perrier. And John, can you tell us what this means for you and your Jewish background?
Actually, I just, like Andrew, I just started this religion to get into a different religion. To see, because I know there's many different religions, but this is one of the oldest ones, so I wanted to go back, more or less back in history, and learn from, it's like Christ was born in year 0 or 1, so it's way before that, so it brings a different meaning to other religions.
And you know what the number for this new year is, right?
57,
79.
577.
Okay.
Goes back a long year.
And
6,000 years.
Where do you come, and John, where do you come from?
I grew up in a small town called Altona, which is up by Clinton Correctional Facility.
County, yeah.
Clinton County.
Franklin, is it Clinton or Franklin?
Clinton County.
Clinton, okay. And you grew up there without much going on around there, right?
Not really. It's a small town. Nowadays, to have a good job, you either work in a factory or become a CO.
Okay, so how is this sukkah impacting you and your soul and what you're trying to find in Judaism?
We just watched kind of a movie on it. What it helps me is how one of the actors turned around and he was praying not to be anger, to keep his anger in control. So this kind of, we can learn certain different ways to control our anger, and with different religions it shows different meanings to certain religions.
Okay. And also with us is Nelson Burgos, and I'm surprised, and you're from the Bronx?
I'm
in the Bronx. You're from the New York City area?
Well, I lived in the Bronx when I was young. And we moved out of Bronx in '66 to Rockland County, where I went to high school on and off for about 1.5 years. And I ended up coming here in '74. And
coming here?
Yeah, to Coxsackie.
In '74?
'74. I mean, this is my second bid. But, and I had got released, and I ended up getting a new one. And it wasn't until like 2007. Well, during these years, I mean, there's a lot of solitary time, so you get a time to reflect and to think about the things that you messed up on in life. And in 2007, after a year of seriously talking to a Orthodox Jew that was with me in Sullivan, I decided at that point that I needed to look more into Judaism, and that's what I have chosen since then to become. And if and when I get out there, they actually go through the actual conversion for, doing the mikveh and all that. So I've been reading a lot. As Dave would tell you, I probably read more than I should be. I delve into things like the Zohar and Kabbalah and stuff like that. But it's on the for me, I'll be honest with you, it's superficial, because I know it takes years and years and years of reading and understanding. You can read the same thing over 1,000 times and get 1,000 different pieces of information out of it. And I think it's beautiful because it teaches you, not only does it teach you about the religious aspect, to be humble, to be a good person, to always show what it is that you're about, not just say what you're about, but to show. And I think that Judaism is one of the things that it goes by deeds, what you do, not by what you say. Mm-hmm. And there are, unfortunately, a lot of that just like they say, and they talk a good one, but they don't walk the walk. Right. This religion walks the walk. Okay. And that's what I like about it. It's honest, and it helps you grow as a person. I mean, it can do nothing but make you a better person.
Now you said you were in Sullivan Correctional Facility in your first tour of duty?
Oh no, I was here on first tour of duty.
Oh, you said something about Sullivan.
I was there on this bit here. I was in Sullivan, and that's when I came into. I had a really good friend. Okay. Fortunately, he's out there now. He's in South America. He went back to his country. He went to I think it was Colombia. He was at. And he was an Orthodox Jew, and we sat and we talked. I mean, we spent almost all our rec time, free time, talking to each other. And as I asked him questions, I became more interested in it. Something drew me.
How has the prison system changed since '74? Because
wow.
74 was like Attica. It was
all year. It was 3 years after Attica. Yeah.
So would you have had a sukkah in the late '70s?
Oh no. I mean, as far as a Jewish community in any, well, fortunately, I've been only this one. Last time I was here, it was this time in Hudson. And they didn't really have, it wasn't really, you had probably Jewish inmates in there, but it wasn't an organization that I know. Maybe I guess a rabbi would come maybe periodically. But on this trip around, I guess it's more prevalent. You get to see it in every facility that I've been in. I just came from Attica, this time from Attica, from 2 years there. And last year I spent time in the Sukkah out there in what they call the Ponderosa, which is outside of the gym. So it's a big outside yard, similar to like the big yard they have out here, but they call it the Ponderosa. And I enjoyed it. It was an experience that I'm trying to remember the Goldstein or Greenberg that's in there from Buffalo.
Rabbi Greenberg.
He came in, beautiful person. I mean, you could just see the reverence, the glow come from him, and he was just somebody that you want to be, somebody that you want to learn from, because he just like, he was the eminence of, it's like you couldn't help but want to learn from him. And I would sit and ask him questions and stuff like that, and he asked me, he says, well, when am I getting out? I says, well, when Hashem decides that I can come out, I guess. And he says, do you plan on coming to Buffalo? I said, well, I would like to visit, like to visit if I come out, when it's cold out, but I like to go visit him, and because like I said, he was the kind of individual that he never asked you, do you want to learn? People just came to him and asked him because he was that kind of a person that you wanted to learn from him. He was a very open, very honest individual, very knowledgeable, and it was just a pleasure. He was a pleasure, and he was the one that actually did the Sukkah with us last year, and it was amazing. I mean, I just felt glowing when I left there.
Really, you didn't want to leave?
No, it's just that they made us leave, but we could have stayed there, but he had to leave as well, because he can't stay as long as he'd like to, but I don't know how long he would like to stay, but they're all limited as far as how long he can stay.
Do you like the regiment of prison life? That you have some fixed...
It's structured, believe me, it's structured. The trick is, as soon as possible to find something to do to occupy your time, because if you let yourself fester in the confines that they have, it's not really good for the mental bit. I said physical, emotional. I mean, being in the box or something like that, I can see where guys would have
Just let me
problems.
interrupt. The box means solitary confinement.
Solitary confinement.
Just for our
Special
audience.
housing unit. Special housing unit.
Shoe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
See, I knew that.
okay.
Feel right at home here, Marc.
And to be there, I mean, you have nothing to do but listen to other people yell and scream on the gate because they have nothing else to do. And either that or read, write letters, or sit there and ponder about things that you messed up in life or things that you would like to do or could have done differently.
Right.
And a lot of times you sit back there and I'd ask Hashem, I says, I know I messed up. I says, and the thing is to be able to humble yourself and ask for help. Even if you are a learned individual within the, I mean, there comes a time when you ask for help, ask for strength, and not to be the thing is like it's that's a punk thing to do. That no, it's not. I mean, because if it wasn't Hashem, you wouldn't be here in the first place.
Well,
at least on this planet.
I think so, Marc. I wanted to point out to our audience is just that, in a positive sense, of course, prison is not a fun place to say the very least. On the other hand, if the inmates use it as a positive experience and,
Yes.
and reflect and inside and what they're doing, and especially with their Yiddish Jewish soul, neshama, that they actually have the opportunity to use this experience to grow.
Yes,
so, are there
definitely.
other Jewish inmates besides the four of you?
Yeah.
There is a
in
few of
Coxsackie.
us.
Yeah, well, there are a population that have signed up to be Jewish to participate, but generally we're the more active group.
Okay, but
The three other ones are you pretty more active. I
There's
guess
three
they're
that
somewhere
couldn't make
else
it
right
today
now.
that had
no,
various
but I
other
just mean in
engagements.
general that we.
Yeah, we have a group that are up towards about 10 people sometimes. It varies though because people come and go from here. So
hopefully.
one month. Well, yes.
Well,
In
sometimes they
India,
come
we all
back.
wish to go.
We're definitely the smallest demographic within the prison system,
Yes.
Yes.
without a doubt. Anywhere in any facility, with the exception of what is that?
Sullivan, Shawanga. Type
No,
of-
where the
yeah.
kosher kitchen is.
That's Greenhaven.
Greenhaven. With the exception of
Stoneville.
Greenhaven, we are the smallest demographic in any prison
Yes.
in New York
Okay.
State.
Because as of 2010, 3.6% of the prison population was Jewish.
Well,
Yeah.
So that's a small amount. That's
Right.
Yeah.
And also it's difficult.
Most of it's Protestant and Catholic,
Yes.
but
Yes.
they did a breakdown
Right.
that
But I also find that all the different religious leaders here do help anywhere they can.
that's true.
They
true.
help us out. They don't say not my job. It does not exist here. They go greatly, and also I must speak up for the rabbis that come and take their time, even though it's their job. Their job can also be just sitting here and doing the little as possible, but they care. They work hard for us. They show that somebody out there, to many people that are here that have nobody, that we are cared for, we are loved. Hashem has brought His love to us, and it is shining through the rabbis. Every place I have gone, every different institution I've gone in, they have been very active, beyond active. They've been, their heart and soul goes into this.
and you've seen a progression in terms of more of a connection that the correctional facilities are trying to, or the Department of Correctional Services is trying to make this easier for being someone
Yes.
who's Jewish.
And it's
that
also
wants to follow
yes,
Jewish
it's also a learning experience for them.
Yeah.
for the Department of
For the
Correctional
Department
Services.
of Corrections, because listen, face it, we are a unique group of people, and we have our needs that many Christian or Protestant people would not understand, just like we would not understand them. We wouldn't understand what their needs or wants are. And right now I see a very great improvement in what they do for us.
So what else do they do besides kosher meals and the Sukkah? What else do you
Well, for
find
Hanukkah,
that's so
we have for Hanukkah, we have services when we can have.
they allow you to light candles here?
Yes, for Hanukkah we do.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
And,
Yes, we do.
and even on Christmas Eve, which is kind of interesting.
Okay.
sometimes. But no, they do. They make sure we are taken care of in what we need for religious aspects.
Again,
they're
David,
very
let me
active.
interrupt over here. Just explain what that meant to your Christmas Eve. Because last year, Christmas Eve came out on Hanukkah.
Yes.
And obviously there's 24 hours. They mentioned CO, just again for our audience. That means correction officers. If you want to use plain English, it's prison guards.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's 365 days, 24/7 job. They don't just close up the place
Right,
for
no.
10 hours.
No.
So obviously, like you say, most or probably all are Christians, and who doesn't want to be with your family on
Right, of
Christmas
course.
Eve if you're a Christian? So there's a skeleton crew. So they have special needs, and you need some officers watching them even on Christmas Eve, which comes out on Hanukkah. And that's what David's saying. They bent over backwards to put somebody on duty in order to help facilitate them to the Jewish inmates in order to celebrate Hanukkah. That's what he was
And
saying.
what happens on Passover, which is
Pesach is-
tumultuous for everyone.
Yeah.
Pesach
Yeah.
can be very interesting at times, but they really do pursue and go out of their way, to help us out, to make sure we get what we need. We get special packages from various organizations to give us, matzahs, the foodstuffs that we are needed and everything.
Macaroons.
Not so much macaroons anymore. Not so much
Aleph is
macaroons.
no longer
But things are
allowed.
changing.
Why can't you have
Wow.
macaroons?
Because
It tastes. I love them in the street.
What
Yeah.
is it?
I love macaroons
No,
in the street.
what's the
no,
reason?
what's happening now is that they change available items that we can get.
Yeah, why are
And
macaroons?
that's a good question.
Certain outside organizations are banned from sending singles to the prison, but it's
Okay.
just But I was gonna add on something David said.
It's nothing to do with almonds or anything. Or
No,
No,
it's
nothing like
just
that.
coconuts or
Just different
nuts or-
distributors come and go
Inside
sometimes.
politics, it changes as it goes. Every
Okay.
security and administration makes different decisions every time.
Right,
So,
they have to look
Okay.
at it from different perspectives.
I remember in Sullivan, the Jewish organization had a fundraiser, and what they would do, I guess it was a bakery around the area in Sullivan, where they would actually have, they would bring in halal, bread, and they would bring in pastries that were made kosher made, and the community down there, as far as like the inmate community, as far as down there, is a lot more intensive than it is up here. But I guess the location of Sullivan is right there.
Just
And-
for people,
yes,
again, just to
yes.
qualify, Sullivan County is the Catskills.
Yes.
So that's
but-
when-
That's where all your
David, you came
resorts.
from.
All right.
Yes, yeah.
So-
well, let's say
so
the
you
Borscht
should-
Belt. The
yeah.
Borscht Belt. They come up for the summertime. They,
But in
enjoy
terms
their
of you
vacation.
staying where you would have been more comfortable, you couldn't-
Not necessarily.
Okay.
But this is Hashem puts me where He wants me.
okay.
And sometimes, quite honestly, I didn't want to go. But He put me there anyway. And once I learned how to live in the particular, because every prison has its rules, its little ways of doing things. Once you learn to live with it and within it, it can be okay. It can be a life, hard life, but it isn't terribly hard. And they do have many aspects of help for people here, and also religion too. I see that like I said before, everybody helps out here as best they
So
can.
we're wrapping up, Rabbi Simon. I just wanted
when
you.
we're having a good time, I
Yeah,
guess
no,
time
of course.
flies
Of course.
over
we want
here.
them to say a bracha over
Yeah,
the
sure.
Lulav and Esrog. Do you want them to stand up and say the bracha?
It'd be
or-
better if they stand up if you have it possible. We'll say Lulav and Esrog, and then we'll have a cookie to say
And we'll have
something, a blessing in the, good? All right. You know the bracha, Baruch. Asher Kiddushanu B'mitzvosav V'tzivanu Al Natilas Lulav. All right, do a shake it up, Zadie over
You
here.
have to shake it a certain way.
Yeah, say it right, go right.
shake to the right.
Right to your right.
Of course, we don't want to take someone
Yeah,
out
don't.
next door.
And then shake to the
Left.
left.
And then we
Wait a minute.
No,
Up.
not much to turn around here. Everybody does it a little different.
Yeah, I know. There
Okay.
are different customs. You are right.
And down and
Over your right shoulder.
Okay.
All
And
right,
now
good.
Let Andrew do this also. Andrew.
You want to hold a little. All right,
Okay.
just shake it. You said the blessing, so all you have to do is shake it now.
Okay.
now I'm going to get out of the way. So
Okay.
Me also.
okay,
Andrew.
go forward.
Shake it to the right. To the
To the
right.
left.
The
To
other
the right.
They actually took
To the
well,
left.
To the left.
Up.
Shake it up. Shake it down.
Up.
In
And
between.
shake it down.
There you go.
over your right shoulder.
Over right shoulder.
All right.
Just a little bit, Mark, because I'm a rabbi, so I, of course,
Well,
have
this
to,
is a little
I have to
abbreviated.
say something over here. But
Not many
that's-
get injured in here. Don't
Yeah, I
worry.
know. So you hit someone in the head over
I know,
here.
you almost got me in the
Yeah, I
eye.
know. You can follow
Before
it.
we first opened up, we had to do. The tables weren't in here, so like we had more
We had
room
room
to do
to
it.
There's 4 directions and up
Yes.
and down.
Up and down, all
Six
six
And
directions,
that's
yes.
actually you're
All
waving
6
away
directions.
all the bad spirits.
And-
All up, down, all around. It should only be for a good year. Again, Rosh
Yes.
Hashanah was just, the new year was 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
So we're still living with that. And also there's some significance to idea also, like I said before, the harvest. Even though we're not farmers, but if the farmers aren't farming, we're not eating. So we want a good harvest time also.
So I want to thank Rabbi Gulak for giving us, presenting us with this feast of cookies
Good.
from Oberlanders.
There you go.
And we say a bracha on
Right,
this.
everybody take we say 2.
Two,
One
right.
for the cookie and one for the mitzvah.
Okay.
You put that down. You
You
put
could
the
put
little
No, I
in
am.
it. Take a cookie.
And take a cookie.
Everybody take a cookie. I'll take one too. You have one? Yeah, no one's on a diet, I hope,
No.
here.
Okay?
Not anymore. No.
Yeah.
Not anymore, right?
I'm on a diet too, but all right. All right, we'll say 2 blessings, one for the cookie and then one for the sukkah. Everybody together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam borei minei mizonos. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvosav Vitzivanu leishe basukkah.
Amen.
Good. All right. Well, thank you all very much for taking time out of your busy day to come here.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
And
Thank
we
you,
really
Bill.
appreciate hearing
Thank
your
you
insights.
for giving us a change of pace in here.
Okay. Well, I appreciate the insights that you were able to give us as to what goes on behind bars.
I would just like to say also, too, that we also join the world in shaking the lulav and praying to Hashem, even here in prison.
Mm-hmm.
That His love comes here,
All right.
and it
So-
comes in many ways.
Rabbi, wrap it up.
Dave, you gave the best note over there. That even though, and people don't understand, it looks nice we're sitting in Sukkah, but there's barbed wires all
yes.
around, there's guards all around, and you can feel pretty darn lonely and depressed. But when you're with Hashem, Torah and mitzvahs, and with friends and rabbis, that gives your spirits uplifted,
does.
that you can even feel free
Yes, it does.
even inside of a prison. So I think you hit the right note on that.
No Jew is alone.
That's it. So you're together with every Jew, and no
We're all
barbed
over.
wire and no guards and no machine guns can stop you in the spiritual sense from connecting to all Jews around. Thank you very much to the prison system.
Right.
Thank you very much to Marc and Rabbi Gulak and all the officials in the prison system for allowing us to come in and sharing to all our viewers the Jewish life inside of a New York State prison.
Thank you.